Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here for your daily dose of D&T. Um, just wanted to start this up while I was queuing. I met a lot of awesome people this weekend. A lot of Death and Taxes players, a lot of people who don't play D&T, but otherwise who enjoy my content. I just kind of wanted to generically thank all of them at the beginning of this video. Um, the the support I received this weekend really meant a lot. I had a couple of impromptu donations or other people just stopping by and just thanking me for everything I'm doing, and it means a lot. Alright, so I'm on the draw with this hand. If we're playing against a Delver deck and they open up on creatures, this hand is great. If we're playing against depths, this is great. It's a control deck. This is kind of a medium minus hand to an actively bad hand. I think this is borderline on just being a mulligan because this might be just very bad against a lot of strategies. I think I'm going to keep it, but I very much might regret this keep. It's only medium against Delver too, because if they just open on Wrenn and 6 into True Name or something like that, there's just hands that can completely invalidate this section of things that I'm trying to do. So we're probably playing against Black-Red Reanimator, off my opponent leading on Bloodstained Mire. I'm going to go ahead and lead on Snow-Covered Plains rather than Caracas here. I don't want to show the Caracas before my opponent puts a Grizzlebrand in graveyard if they were going to end step Entomb. Maybe it's not Reanimator. This is going awful slowly if it is. Him? Well, Mirran Crusader would have been the one card that I probably wanted to keep from this hand. Okay, that's a great draw. That's a great draw. We might just be playing against a mono-black Reanimator deck. We could just be playing against a control deck. I guess mono-black Reanimator doesn't make sense if they have the fetch lands in there. Or maybe it still does, and it's just for something like, I don't know. Double Swamp is a little unusual out of a control deck right now. Well, this Thalia's living. So that's cool. I think I'm just going to, slow my roll on that Wasteland yet again. So my opponent is definitely some black-based deck. That's very sure with, Bloodstained Mire and Marsh Flats here. Dead Guy Ale? Is it Dead Guy Ale? He's gonna tap out for a Hero of Bladehold here or something. Alright. So my opponent is playing some sort of Mardu graveyard synergy pile thing. So the next question becomes, do I want to tap out for this Sword of Fire and Ice and expose my Thalia to a removal spell? I have mixed feelings on that. Because, A, I want the sword to be in play so it can't be attacked by discard, but B, if I get rid of this, I don't have a creature to put it on if my opponent just has a removal spell. And in these colors, I expect removal spell, even though my opponent didn't, play one out on the Thalia when given the opportunity. I just think passing here and, like, exposing this to discard for another turn is too risky. This is going to be my way to get back into the game, I think. It's my opponent. Good God, my opponent has so many basics. All right, YouTube, buckle up. I don't really know what's going on here, but, like, it's weird. I also can't, like, use these wastelands to deny mana. I also can't equip this sword now and actually get in because of Ensnaring Bridge, which I definitely wasn't playing around. So I kind of wonder if my opponent is, like, a seasoned Pyromancer deck as well. There's not Astrolabes in there. They're not Snowlands. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and fire off a Swords to Plowshares on that. Like, these Swords to Plowshares are going to be very bad in this matchup, it's feeling like. So might as well take the value where I can get it. I think I'll keep one around in case they play, I don't know, a Goblin Rabble Master or something. And it also, like, might let me get some value here if they triple block. Although I might just, like, bounce with Caracas instead. Really didn't expect this coming down into recording this matchup. This could be literally anything. Oh boy, another bridge. Life's hard. Yeah, I guess I'm just taking that. Am I supposed to wasteland this scrubland? I don't really think mana is going to be the bottleneck. I think I need my lands in order to double flicker with and potentially get a kill from my opponent here. Sure. Marsh flats. Yeah, that's fine. So now my opponent has one card in hand. And my opponent is willing to hemorrhage spirits. I accept. there's a lot of lines that I can take with this recruiter. Revoker for Chandra is 1. Get a Flicker Wisp is 1. Getting a Sanctum Prelate is 1. I kind of like the idea of getting Prelate and then using that to beat the Ensnaring Bridge. So this is my only recruiter, so this is my only chance at getting to tutor specifically for something. The thing is, like, can I beat the Chandra if it just sits on the board? And the answer to that question might be no. So I might need to stop that. So I can stop it this turn, equip it with a sword, and make it much harder to answer in later turns. I think I'm going to do that. And hopefully I can set up either double Flicker Wisp or a Prelate to get the rest of the stuff out of my... to put my opponent to enough cards where I can get through. Well, that's a really unfortunate last card to have. Sword of Fire and Ice wouldn't have protected from that piece of removal. C'est la vie. Really don't know if I like my opponent fetching here. Like, every point of life is super relevant at this stage. Now we wait. I agree with that decision. What is this? Okay. I'm going to nug this thing now. I'm going to start playing towards worlds where this Recruiter of the Guard gets to attack because my opponent does something stupid with Kaya. I also want to be Hellbent so that Kaya's, what is it, -2 does less to me. Alright, I think I'm dead on board. Let's take a draw and find out. Flicker Wisp. What can we do with that? So I can flicker with my recruiter and get something new. Flicker Wisp of Spirit out of the way. Dead to my opponent drawing any spell. How can I win this game? I think I messed up. So I think my way to win this game was take no action with the Flicker Wisp, just hold it in my hand and hope to rip another Flicker Wisp off the top. Oh, shoot, that was a -1, so I was just dead on board to it. Okay, so I needed to get Revoker. And then also hope to dodge a spell, and yeah, okay, then I don't know how I get through this. Alright. So, Recruiter, Cataclysm, Council's Judgment all seem great. Source of Plowshares seemed very bad. Palace Jailer is still probably fine, even though my opponent is playing a bunch of token-based things. Like, the card draw side of that equation is still probably very good. But if my opponent has Bitter Blossom and Lingering Souls, like, maybe it's too risky. I don't know, but if they become the Monarch, then, like, Ensnaring Bridge isn't nearly as scary. I don't really know how good Giver of Runes is. My opponent probably has a little bit of targeted removal and a bunch of, like, Planeswalker-based things. I don't know that this is where I need to be. I kind of just want a whole bunch of, like, powerful Haymaker cards or things that attack for lots of points of damage. I think I like this. Keep this. I have Revoker for a Planeswalker. I have a Stoneforge Mystic for, you know, an early piece of aggression. I do have double Caracas, which I don't really like, but, you know, that is what it is. You have to end up keeping a lot of hands that look like this with DNT, where they don't necessarily have something objectively great going on about them. Alright, I expect the Stoneforge Mystic goes here. And our hand becomes much weaker. But I'm willing to slow this one down. Like, we have Sarah Avenger. I'm happy to just continue making land drops. I assume my opponent can't do too much when mana choked, just kind of like based on how the last game went. Yeah. Will I straight up just like Recruiter for Jailer or Prelate here? Yes. Yes, I will. I'm going to take Jailer here. So my opponent can either like make a bunch of creatures, in which case I will just hold off on playing the Jailer for a while, or they can like try to discard it out of my hand. Yeah. So in this case, now I just don't play the Palace Jailer. Now I wait on it for a little while. And my opponent can't really trade bodies now, which is super convenient for me. I'm willing to play out the Revoker and be wrong about what I name for the sake of producing more bodies right now. Opponent has a lot of bodies. So let's go 1, 2, play Atomic, 1, keep this one, 2, 3, play a Crusader. And even though my opponent has a lot of bodies, I think the board as is favors me. My opponent does have 4 cards, so like we'll see what they can do with them. The Ensnaring Bridge Bitter Blossom combo, you say? Now I'll have to think about whether or not I actually want to play this Palace Jailer onto the board. Just the Recruiter can get in, eh? So I can get rid of one of these spirits, become the monarch, draw a card, and then like try to put my opponent in this position where they have to just like vomit everything that they play. Or I get to attack more. I don't necessarily know whether or not this is correct, but I don't see myself winning by staying the course here. Ooh, baby. We can probably do something with that. Yes, you're the monarch. I don't know that that favors you. We'll find out. There's also going to be a weird sub-game of chicken where I try to decide how long I can actually keep this Cataclysm in my hand without casting it. Well, doesn't my opponent just have all the sweet cards? Okay, so my opponent's going to draw a card, and all my 2 power things are going to get to attack. Well, isn't that mighty convenient? Immediately regret how I did this if my opponent has Lightning Bolt. Yeah. My opponent didn't have Lightning Bolt as if my opponent did have Lightning Bolt as their last card, I was supposed to just flicker my Jailer. It's just like a safer way of doing what I'm doing. Alright, I got super punished for that. I deserve that. That was an error on my end. Tilt. Oh, they're just taking the lose life mode. Oh, that's good. Alright, so these three can go in and attack. I guess let's attack their Planeswalker. Let's make it look like I care about that. I don't actually care about the Planeswalker. But I bet I can take a whole bunch of bodies off the table by doing this. So then we're going to keep this Plains in hand and hope to become the Monarch and then Cataclysm. Your Inquisition misses. You get a weird game today, that's for sure. So I think I want to bounce my Tomic to my hand right now. I think I'm pretty locked into casting the Cataclysm here. Hold up. Is that true now? I can Recruiter of the Guard for Flicker Wisp. Flicker Wisp the Ensnaring Bridge out. Attack in with all three creatures. Become the Monarch. Alternatively, I just get a Flicker Wisp, flicker my Palace Jailer, become the Monarch that way. And then force my opponent into kind of a weird spot. Man, that draw made it super bad that I bounced the Tomic. All right, so we're working towards that hope now that we can actually cataclysm while being the monarch, because I feel like we can win from that position. I think. The awkward thing is that my opponent would get to keep this Bitter Blossom. Which might just beat me anyway. Maybe I need to give up on the Cataclysm plan. If I give up on the Cataclysm plan, I can just try to bleed my opponent to death via Bitter Blossom. Or I can play towards drawing. I'm going to play towards protecting the crown right now. Drawing a Council's Judgment lets me tear this game wide open. What do you got, opponent? Okay. Sure. Feel super bad about discarding the Cataclysm now. Didn't really expect 2 more Planeswalkers to be deployed. But maybe we'll work this out. You know, there's the card that I was playing towards by taking the lines that I did. Also immediately punished for something I didn't really think about previously. I should have gotten rid of a Spirit instead of a Fairy Rogue previously because of, like, Mirran Crusader's protection colors. I'm going to attack that at Liliana, because that can kill Liliana on its own if it hits. Can attack Flicker Wisp and Jailer at Chandra. I can attack. So this is going here, this is going here. So that represents lethal here. That represents lethal here. If I send this other Wisp here, so to keep Lily alive, Spirit has to go on Crusader. To keep Chandra alive, one of these two has to be blocked right now. If I send this at Kaya, then I've guaranteed that 2 Planeswalkers... No, I haven't guaranteed that 2 Planeswalkers die. Send that one at Chandra as well. We'll let you sort it out from there. so my opponent is choosing to take the wisps out. That's fine. So I got the lily. A fatal push. That's fine. That is totally fine as of right now. That does literally nothing. I don't know if I've said this stream yet, but Palace Jailer is a stupid card. Joke is on you, friend. I expect my opponent to just like minus and try to burn me out here. Oh, no. So they're going on their own Kaya to reset its loyalty. Alright, I forgot about that. Port is not great here. We're going to send everything at the Planeswalker. My opponent can keep the Planeswalker alive. The question is, like, will they trade for my body, or will they just chump block both? Alright, so they're going to keep a body around, try to become the monarch. That's totally reasonable. I'll discard a Plains. I think my opponent should just be trying to bleed me out. So my opponent is going to let me become the monarch again, unless they draw like a fatal push or lightning bolt as their card. Okay. I don't really know how my opponent is ever supposed to beat a real tiered deck, but sure enough, they are going to get me here. And by that, sorry, not real tiered deck. I don't know how they're supposed to beat like any sort of combo deck whatsoever is what I meant to say. Like, eh. All right, GG's. I'll be back tomorrow.